Hi everyone, welcome to the Simple Art at Home Summer Camp Art Series with me, Laura Houston. Get your art supplies ready because together we will get creative, learn about art, and have some fun along the way. I'll meet you at the art table. This beginner art lesson is called Happy Jellyfish, and this is part one. For part one, you are going to need 2 pieces of white paper. You're going to want some crayons, a pencil. Hopefully you have some watercolor paints. If not, you're going to want something to color with. We may or may not use the black pen for part one. I'm going to set aside, why don't I show you first what we're going to be making. So this is just one example of what your happy jellyfish could look like, and you can see how he's glued on there. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Okay, so set aside one paper. We're first going to start with the body of the jellyfish. Now, you're going to want to fold a paper so that it's almost in half, but not all the way in half. So I'm folding it right here. If you can see, there's this much left over. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw the head or the body of the jellyfish up here, and then the long tentacles will be down here. So I'm getting my pencil, and first I'll just kind of sketch it here. So I'm going to do a shape that looks something like this. I'll go over it with pen so that you can see it a little bit better. And I'm just going to do some scallop or some curvy lines here. And then why don't we go ahead and do a few more little curves under here. It looks like another layer to our jellyfish, like that. Okay, and we're gonna make a couple of circles. Let's see, so we'll use these later. I'm gonna do a circle here. These are gonna be his little cute cheeks. And here. I know I did this pretty lightly, but let me just show you where those cheeks are going. That's what I mean by the cheeks. So you're going to cut those out a little bit later for part 2. Okay, now as far as his tentacles go, you're going to want 6. It's up to you. You could do more, you could do less. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to draw 6 tentacles, and they're going to start about from this halfway crease right here, and I'm just gonna do like a little swirly tentacle, something like this. Make them wide enough so that you can do a little design, and we're gonna paint them in the middle too. So I'll do another one. Some can be longer than others. You can make some short, some narrower, some wider. Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do one more here and one more here. All right. And just to make sure you can see, I'm going to go over this with a black crayon. You don't have to do this, but I just want you to be able to see from your desk where you're sitting. Sometimes you can see better if I outline, but like I said, yours does not have to be outlined. So if you're finished drawing, just wait a moment. I just want to make sure everyone can see from where they're sitting. All right. Now think about what design you want to put on the tentacles. I'm going to show you the one that I did, the sample. And it might help you make up your mind. Okay, and so there we have 6 tentacles. They almost go to the bottom of the paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and outline the jellyfish's head or body here, just so you can see it better from where you are sitting. Okay, and then there's like a little second layer of scallops. And this is just how I'm doing a jellyfish. You can make your jellyfish any way that you want to. There's no wrong way. And these will be the cute little cheeks that we put on his face, or her face. Okay. So we're gonna do something interesting. So find a white crayon, if you have a white crayon, and let me show you why you want a white crayon. Because I went ahead and I put like little stars with a white crayon. It's almost like, have you ever drawn on an Easter egg with white crayon? The wax prevents the paint from covering it. So I've seen some students put numbers. They like to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like you can do numbers all the way down. And you don't have to use a white crayon. You can use a black crayon. You can use any color that you want. So think about if you want to decorate the tentacles. It's entirely up to you. I think it's kind of fun to decorate. So the hard thing about the white crayon is when you're drawing with a white crayon on white paper, you can't see. I'm putting little stars here, but honestly, I can't see them. I'm just hoping they come out like stars, but that's okay. I have some little stars here. I think I'll do some kind of like circles. I'm doing little circles here. You can do polka dots. It's kind of a surprise once you put the paint color on to see how it comes out. I think it just makes it look a little happier when you decorate the tentacles. Okay, so I just did a few little decorations there, and I'm not going to put any white crayon on the face, but if you want to, you can. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to use I've got water here for painting. If you have crayons, you can just color him in with crayons, but I'm going to start, and I'm going to use purple for his head and body up here for this top part. And you know what, we're using construction paper. This is not real watercolor paper, so you have to be careful. If you use too much water, your paper will end up tearing, because this paper is thicker than computer paper, but it's not really thick. It's not meant to be used as watercolor paper, so try not to use too much water. Just enough to put some color on there. And I'm gonna save the bottom, those bottom scallops, because I'll do those, paint those another color. Okay, so there we have a little bit of purple. I think I wanted to use, I'm gonna use yellow, like a bright color. I know that I don't want to use blue because my ocean, we're going to put him on an ocean background, and I really want the jellyfish to stand out from the ocean background. You know, originally I said that you didn't have to outline your tentacles with black crayon, but if you want to, I think it's working out okay. It actually kind of looks nice, if you would like to do that as well. Think about what color you want the little cheeks to be. I might do like a red. I'm gonna add some red color here. I think that might look nice. And I might add just a little bit of brown into the cheeks to kind of just tone it down a little bit. With watercolors, you can kind of mix, and it looks interesting. Okay, and now I'm moving down to the tentacles. I'm gonna keep them purple as well. You can do any color you want. And if you're using crayons, you can color them with crayons. Can you kind of see the white crayon coming through there? I did circles on this one. It just adds an interesting texture. This one I drew some stars. Let's see if the stars sort of come through. Don't know. Oh yeah, they are a little bit. The crayon has wax in it, and the wax prevents the paint from sticking to the paper. Keep going with the purple. Okay, keep going. Okay. And if I'm going faster than you, that's okay, because you can always finish when this video is over. Or your teacher can pause the video. Okay. I have one more tentacle to paint. I don't know if they're called tentacles. What is a jellyfish? What is it called? Somebody might need to look that up on their Chromebook if you have one, or maybe your teacher. I'm using the word tentacle, but I don't know if that's accurate. What hangs from a jellyfish? I know an octopus has tentacles. Okay, so here is the paint. This is just painting the jellyfish. We're not putting the face on with part one because we need to let all this paint dry, okay? So now I'm gonna set my paper aside, and I'm gonna get the other piece of white paper. And this I will prepare as the ocean background. So before we paint it or color it, I wanna do some fun things with some crayon first that will show through. So the first thing I'm going to do, if this is the top, I'm just going to do some lines that look like some kind of oceany lines. And again, the paint will, this will show through the paint, so it has an interesting look. And then I'm also going to draw some blue circles that could be bubbles. They can go over those lines. Just makes it look like there's some bubbles and movement in the water. You can use any colors that you want to. I'm avoiding purple because I want our jellyfish to stand out. I might add some yellow circles. And then when we paint over this, it'll have a more interesting background. Just doing circles. I'm not measuring. I'm just drawing them with my wrist. I'm moving my whole wrist. Okay. And maybe let me see if I have a light blue. I don't know if you have some light blue, but I think that might be a little interesting too, to do some more lines with light blue. I'm just kind of doing some horizontal wavy lines. Okay, that's all I'm going to do with the crayon. And the next thing I'm going to do is just paint a blue ocean background. And again, we don't want to use too much water because this is not true watercolor paper. Real watercolor paper is thick. It's much thicker and it has some texture to it, which we kind of call like a tooth. It grabs a little bit. And once, I know it's curling a little bit, but once it dries, we can uncurl it. We can roll it the opposite way to uncurl it. But do you see how the way that we used crayon there, it gives the ocean a little interesting, like patterns. Makes it a little more interesting. I'm just gonna go through. If you have crayons, you can decorate the whole ocean background with crayons. If you have oil pastels, you can use oil pastels. trying to go all the way to the edge. I'm just moving down the paper. Just gonna keep going. Some parts you can do like lighter, like you can leave a little bit of white showing, and it'll make your blue look lighter. If you use less paint, it'll look lighter. You can have a lighter blue. Go all the way to your edge. Okay. So I've completely covered my paper. Since I know this is going to be the top, I'm just going to go back and clean this up since I have a few extra minutes. There we go. Okay, so I think that looks like an ocean, doesn't it? Looks like it's a little darker at the top. Maybe I'll add some more paint down here at the bottom. All right, so for part one today, we painted our ocean background, and we've painted part of the jellyfish, and we're waiting for this to dry. Okay, so when we get after the break, I'll explain part two. So this is the end of part one. Okay, welcome back to part two of the beginner lesson for Happy Jellyfish. So what we did with part one is we colored our ocean scene, and I'm just going to set this aside. And we also created the outline of our jellyfish. Okay, so for part two, you're going to need scissors, and you'll want a black pen or a black crayon, and you're also going to need something to glue with, either a glue bottle or a glue stick. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with cutting out our jellyfish. Okay, I'm just gonna cut first in half right along this line. I think it'll be easier to manage. And I'll set these aside. And now I'm gonna cut along the outline. I think I want to leave the black outline there. So I'm going to cut a little bigger here. And don't lose the little circle cheeks that you drew. Like when you're throwing away scraps of paper, don't forget about those. Okay, so it's going to take me a minute here to cut along these little scalloped edges or these curves. Extra part off. Take your time with cutting. Most of part 2 today is simply cutting everything that we need to cut out. Okay. And save the little circles. Okay, so here's the body part of the jellyfish. And these cute little cheeks. He's gonna have a real happy, like jolly face. Like this will go something like that. And I have some examples of little faces that might help you, because we're going to draw eyes and a mouth. Maybe some little eyebrows and eyelashes. Okay. All right. So now we have all of these. I'm just going to call them tentacles for now. So take your time with these. Sometimes it's easier just to cut them, to separate them like this, and just deal with them, you know, one at a time. They almost remind me of little earthworms. I'm going to go back and cut them nicer, but to just get them on separate sheets first. It's easier to maneuver. Okay, set those aside. Okay, so we have this. And then here we go, everybody. It's going to take a little while here. And it's okay if you make a mistake and cut it. You know, no one will really notice. So I think Mr. Houston just helped me out here. They are tentacles, and guess what? They sting. That's right, they sting their prey. So, and I've heard of people being stung, but you know what? We're creating a happy jellyfish, so our jellyfish is not going to sting people. but that's true. Good, they are tentacles. Now I'm curious what kind of prey. Maybe little fish? Small fish? I've never seen a jellyfish out in the ocean in real life, but I've seen them at aquariums. They can be very pretty, like in displays that have the lights behind them because their bodies are like translucent, see-through. Okay, I'm on tentacle number 4. This is good cutting practice, by the way. If you're not good with using scissors, that's okay. This is good practice. Okay. They're kind of, mine are still a little bit wet, so they're curling up a little bit, but that could be fun, like when we glue them on the ocean background. There we go, and one more. I'm gonna close up my paints because I don't need these. I did want to show you something that I made for you. These are different faces because we're going to put a face on our happy jellyfish before we glue him on our ocean background. Okay, so if you want to practice on a piece of paper first, you might want to get a piece of paper. Your teacher can pause the video. When it comes to eyes, I like to try to find something that I can trace circles on. If you have a glue stick, you can actually, with the cap on, put the glue stick down and trace around it with your pencil if you want to get a perfect circle. If you really like doing art at home, you might want to ask your parents if they can get you one of these. Has different size circles on it. So you can find something to trace, or you can just make circles on your own. Let's see, I'm going to start with pencil, and I think I want my eyes to be maybe about this big. I want my eyes smaller than the cheeks, but you can do whatever you want. Look at all these different styles. I have this one. Let's see. And let's see, I'll try to make it like this. Let's see, which one was this? I'll do it with pen so you can see it better. So what I like to do when I make eyes, I like to make them a little bit cartoony, and I'll take like another little circle and make almost like a crescent moon. Might make that a little bit smaller there. And so when I color it in, it has like a little shape like that. Okay. The good thing about having a black pen or a black crayon is you can go right over what you've painted as long as your paint is dry. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Make a little crescent moon here. And trace it. I don't know if these are the same size. I'll make this one a little bit bigger. It's okay if they're not perfect. Okay. So you can choose whatever kind of little face you want. There we go. And then I usually do, you don't have to even put a nose. I like make little eyebrows up there. And I think for my mouth, I'm gonna first just kind of trace it a little bit with, sketch it with pencil, just to make sure it's kind of something like that. We want him to be really happy. There. And I think I will just glue on his little cheeks. I think the cheeks look good if they're wider than the eyes. They go out more. Get my glue. So I'm gonna put the glue on the back of the circles first. Maybe about right here. I'll put another one right here. Right about there. And I'm almost ready to glue my happy jellyfish on the ocean background. Let's see, leave that there. Okay, don't lose your tentacles. Here's my ocean background. All right, so just make sure you can put your jellyfish anywhere you want to. He can be straight or he can be, tilted a little bit. What you want to do is you want the tentacles to be tucked under like this. You don't want the tentacles sitting on top, really. They will look better if they're glued underneath. So just keep that in mind. So when I put glue on my jellyfish body, I'm not going to put glue down at the bottom edge yet, because I want to be able to tuck the tentacles. But I am going to try to get it near the edge. Since we painted on this paper, it'll tend to curl. Okay, and I'm going to put it right about here. Where's my longest tentacle? Oh yeah, it'll reach. I'll put him here. And then I'm not gonna glue the whole tentacle because I wanna make it kind of three-dimensional. I'm gonna put it like up like that. So I'm gonna put glue at the top and at the bottom. I'm gonna put glue at the top and glue at the bottom. That's it. And I'm starting in the middle. I'm tucking it under and kind of making it like go up off the paper. And I'll turn my paper on the side so you can see it. See how I did that? Kind of coming off the paper. I'm going to keep going. So I'm putting glue at the top of the tentacle and at the bottom so that the middle kind of rises up, and I'm tucking it under there. Again, I'm just putting glue at the top and glue at the bottom. There. There's 3. I need to fit 3 more on. So I'll probably put 1, 2, 3. I'm measuring here. I'm not really measuring, I'm just eyeballing. Put 1 more here and here. Let's see, I have I'll put the long one over here and the shorter one here. Yeah, your fingers are going to get a little messy with glue. It's okay. You can wash your hands when you're all finished. That one. And then last one. 1 more. And then I'm going to glue kind of like those bottom parts of the jellyfish a little bit more right here. You don't have to, because I still think it looks good if it's coming up a little bit, but just to make everything secure, I'm gonna reach under here with my glue stick and glue. Oh, let's see if it sticks. My paper's a little wet still. Okay, so there we go. So here he is. Here is my happy jellyfish. Be sure to ask your teacher where you should put your name, whether your name's going to go on the front or on the back. But I hope you enjoyed this art project, this beginner level of happy jellyfish, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. See you next time.